This is post-storm 2026. Let me tell you something. This shit right here, this is not like regular snow. This is freaking ice. And it's, look at this. BMW spun out. Or an Infiniti, I guess. It is an Infiniti. God damn, dude spun sideways. Holy shit. Let me tell you something. This right here, this is not, I'm gonna use my, oh shit, I can't use my traction. I can't use my fucking adaptive cruise control. Fuck. Yeah, because I had a hard time starting this thing this morning. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna coast about 35 miles per hour while these stupid assholes like this with this BMW, they're driving fast and shit. They think they're cute. But when you spin the fuck out, then that's when y'all understand. Let me tell you something. I was trying to shovel this shit. This is heavy. It was snow at first, but then it turned into sleet. And the sleet, like some people don't know the difference between snow and sleet. Sleet is like ice pellets where the snow freezes into a ball before it hits the ground, and then when it hits the ground, there are little ice pellets that bounce. It's not the size of hail, but let me tell you something. When that shit hits, it freezes and refreezes the ground. It's different than freezing rain, right? But this snow is not just snow. This is pure ice, right? And just trying to get this stuff up, like I'm trying to shovel. And let me tell you something. Shoveling is just hard. It's just difficult to shovel. In fact, listen, if you don't like the speed I'm going, just go around me, because I'm not doing too fast. I'm not going too fast. See, when you assholes spin out and shit, I'm going to be watching you guys spin like tops. I'm not going too fast. I'm not doing it. But let me tell you, I laid in bed yesterday. I didn't do nothing yesterday, and I just watched this snow come down. Let me tell you something. This stuff kept coming down like I ain't never seen it come down before since like Blizzard 96. And when they say that this is historical, I'm starting to believe them. I've got my heavy boots on right now. My heavy boots. I got my heavy Columbia boots on. And they're really big and thick. I see this guy with this Jeep. He's taking a snowblower somewhere. So I got these big, heavy, thick boots on. And I'm going to go over to my mom's house and help her to make sure she's all shoveled out and everything. Because, my mom and my dad, they're retired and they're too old for this shit. That's the reason why you have to have a son. Having daughters is basically useless. You have to have sons, and you got to make sure that they're strong and all that, because this way, when the heavy work comes and, you need somebody to do that heavy work, guess who you calling? You're calling your sons. You're not calling your daughters, because your daughters can't do shit. They got press-on nails. They got all types of excuses, headaches, migraines. It's like you got to have grown male sons to do all your work for you. Whoa, look at that. Big old ice cube, like flying. Oh, wow. This is ridiculous. So I was going to get my Jeep inspected, but my inspection sticker actually has until May. So if I had gotten it inspected, I would have lost 4 months worth of inspection. The other issue is I'm going to have it checked out and make sure my PCM is okay, because when the battery dies on this thing, all of a sudden it starts throwing all these codes and shit. And I did get another battery, and I recharged my other battery to 12.8 volts. But this Jeep has been acting up, and I think it's a computer issue where it's been acting up a little bit. So I'm gonna wait until the the weather is better, and then I'm gonna take it in and I'm gonna have it looked at. Now, if it turns out that fixing it is not worth it, or it might be way too expensive to fix, which I doubt that'll be the issue. I think it might cost me a couple of bucks, but I'm going to try to hold it as long as I can, because as you can see, these lights, ABS, StabiliTrak, and then you see the check engine light on. The problem is when you put a new battery in, all the codes clear out. But if you have a low voltage issue, like I have, like you see that battery sign, if you have a low voltage issue, these cars act really funny. Like everything wants to stop working. Now, the battery seems to be doing okay right now, and that's the reason why I still have my power steering. But the problem is I'm going to have them look at it in order to have it certified or inspected or whatever. But if they give me any problem, they say, oh, yeah, well, it's going to cost a lot to inspect it and fix it and all that. It's like, I'm just going to get ready to sell this thing. And the way I'm going to sell it, because I don't trust private sales, because there's a lot of scam artists out there and there's a lot of scams and shit. I don't trust private sales. So what I'll do is I'll keep this traded in, and my Cadillac goes back in, what is it called? My Cadillac goes back in January. I have a couple options. I could either get the Vistic, and it'll have the same equipment that my Lyric has, but it'll be a bigger SUV that I can use all the time for everything, even though it has that third row, which I'm not too crazy about. Or because the only cars that I really want is either the Escalade IQ or the Mercedes S-Class. Now, the Escalade IQ is at a price that I would never pay, like $150,000. I would never spend that on a car. That would be like a total waste of money, and I'm very close to retirement. I'm trying to save my money. So I could just fix this and fix this up and put a couple $100 or $1,000 into this thing and fix this up. I think what it really comes down to is it might be my alternator, or it's not the battery. I think it's the alternator or it's the PCM. And PCMs, they swap those out all the time, but you got to pay for the labor, because PCMs are basically just computers and they just reprogram them. But there's not a lot of cars out there that I really want to buy. Most of these cars are boring. And just as you can see, like even right in front of me, these WK2 Jeeps, look at this. There's two of them. So I'm the third one here. These WK2 Jeeps are actually really good products as long as you don't have any electrical problems or anything with them, right? So a lot of people who have these Jeeps, they've held on to them. So you got one right here in black, and I think that one right there is in silver or gray. But people are holding on to these Jeeps because once you pay one of these things off, these things are all-wheel drive. They're big, they're spacious, you could use them utilitarian style, like if you have to do stuff with them, like carry tools. They're pretty good trucks, and I'd hate to give this away considering, I paid it off. I'd hate to do that. But time will tell. Because to tell you the God's honest truth, there's really nothing exciting out, honestly. Everything's boring. Everything is so boring. And most of what I've noticed is a lot of dudes are going to these trucks. Now, if they gave me a really, really good deal on like a Chevrolet Avalanche EV, or not an Avalanche, I don't know why I keep calling that thing the Avalanche, the Silverado EV, I would take a Silverado EV. Because I like the Silverado EV. And, I have the charging equipment and everything already installed. And that would give me a bigger car, more space, utilitarian purposes and everything, But, I don't know. Time will tell. Because, see, the one beautiful thing about leasing a car is at the end of the lease, you're not stuck with that car. You can either give it back or you can keep it. Now, I don't even know what they're going to charge to refinance that car. I really don't know. So if it's reasonable, I'll keep it. If it's not reasonable, hey, they can take it back. 3 years goes by so quick. And to think, in 159 or 158 or something like that days, I'm going to be in Vietnam and Cambodia. And my summer's going to go right by. And, soon it'll be time to take my Lyric back soon. Because I already got the email and it was like, oh yeah, well, you're at the last year of your lease. We hope you enjoyed it and everything. So now maybe you should get started thinking about 2026. There's no way I would rebuy that car as a 2026. I'd either finance what I have or trade that in and get something else, like the Vistic. To me, it would be a waste of money. I wouldn't even get the Lyric V. At this point, I would feel that it was a waste of money. Like, I'd get the Vistic, but I wouldn't get the Lyric V, and I wouldn't get another Lyric. It wouldn't make sense, because to me, it would just feel like it's a waste of money. What I really wish is that Mercedes had that S-Class as a full electric vehicle. Not that ugly-ass bullshit EQS, but I wish they had the regular S-Class as an electric vehicle, because that's something I would consider buying. I would absolutely buy that. Another spin out. These dudes are getting stuck with these little-ass cars spinning out. It's like you can't drive these things like you're Mad Max. You can't do that shit. These Infinities, these BMWs, these Hondas, man, these people, these young kids who are getting these cars, and they're getting so much power in these cars. These kids are going crazy with these cars. It's like you can't drive like that with those little front-wheel drive pieces of shit. You can't do it because they're 1 second they're racing, the next second they're crashing into a tree. It's like you cannot drive that way. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Why are you speeding? Why are you speeding? You think that little Mazda zoom bullshit, you think that's going to save you if you crash in one of these trees? No. That thing's going to burst into flames. I don't know what it is with these people. These people feel they got to speed. Why are you speeding? Slow the fuck down. Try it like 40 miles an hour and you're good. There's no traffic out here. Right now, there's no traffic. Obviously, just from looking around, you could pretty much tell they closed everything down. So all the city jobs, all the schools, they closed it. Like initially, it was supposed to be high schools that closed, but they closed the middle schools too because they were like, yeah, this is bullshit. There's no way we're going to be able to get these buses moving around this snow. This ice and snow is a mess. Look at this asshole. Why are you getting in front of me? Keep going. Got this Tesla Model Y speeding and shit. Look at these people. These people want to die. That's what it is. They want to die out here. But that's okay, because we can make that happen for you. You're going to hit one of these trees and blow up. It's like, just keep it slow. That's all. Just stay at 40 miles an hour and you're fine. Because I tell you, sometimes with these turns, I've taken turns to, like, I had a Ford Expedition 2002, and I took one of these curves too fast. Yo, that thing slid right into the fence and bounced off. And I was fortunate it was a fence, not a brick wall. It's like, I learned my lesson. It's like, nah, man, I ain't doing it. I'm not speeding around no goddamn curve. I'm not doing it. Because next thing you know, you slam right into something. Let's keep it slow. Oh my God. This is just too much. See, this is the part where people are praying for global warming. Because, and that's the thing. This is the reason why I tell you to invest in oil and gas stocks. Whether electric cars take over or not, it really doesn't matter. Oil and gas, we're going to keep using that for our houses. Because I got oil tank. And with the oil tank, you got to wait for oil deliveries and everything. And my new oil furnace is so efficient. I can keep that shit at 60 Fahrenheit, and the house is hot at 60. I don't even have to turn it up. Look at that. Something's over there. Like, there must be a power plant over there, and they're running power. In some parts of the state, there are power outages because of all the snow. But I see they're over there running power. Uh-oh. Yeah, you can see this is a nightmare. But I just had to get this Jeep out, get this thing rolling, drive it where I can, get this thing out there. Because this thing, the snow was so high that it comes right up to my lyric, right to the middle of the bumper. It's like I didn't want to try to drive that car and have to drive through ice and snow that's this thick. Because this shit is deep. This shit is no joke. This is no joke at all. Yeah, this shit. My fucking brakes are completely like iced over. The tire treads completely iced. It's like this shit is no joke, man. This shit is no joke. This is a thick ass. This is some thick ass shit right here. This looks like somebody snowblowed this path, and as you can see, it kept snowing. They said it wasn't supposed to stop until 12 p.m. today. This is ridiculous. Yeah, so I got my thick gloves. I got these Columbia boots. I got these big old Columbia boots. Oh my God. I got a fucking shovel. Yeah. It's not as cold as it was yesterday. Yesterday was a little bit colder. But this ice, this shit freezes. Now you're in a situation where it's harder to get it up. I feel bad for all these women who feel they don't need no man when they have to get out here and come up with ways that they're going to deal with the snow and ice. Oh well. They'll just have to figure it out. Okay, so I got a lot of shoveling done. I'm exhausted. I gotta go home, take a nice big dump. I am exhausted. Let me tell you. Look at this shit. Now they're saying there's supposed to be another type of snow next week on Sunday, but I don't believe it's gonna be anything near like what this is. I haven't seen this much snow and ice for like at least like the last 4 or 5 years. This is the first time in a while that I've seen it come down like this. And it snowed all yesterday. It wasn't even like it started and stopped. It just snowed all day yesterday. And then right after the snow was over, you got sleet. So it froze everything over. So all of this shit is ice. It's just solid ice. Fortunately, there's nobody on the road, so it's easy to drive home. What is it? Special double cheeseburger combo. Got this woman right here. I don't need no man. I don't need no man to wait for the bus. That's right. I don't know. These women aren't that smart. It's like if I was them, I'd have me a dude driving me everywhere. Fuck that. It's like I ain't waiting on nobody on Mom Donnie's buses. What did Mom Donnie say? He said the bus is going to be fast and free. That's what he said. I was like, I ain't waiting on no goddamn bus. Nigga, you crazy. I ain't waiting on no fucking bus. I'd be on Mom Donnie bus. The buses are supposed to be fast and free. I like that talking point. He said, yeah, the buses are going to be fast and free. What the hell does that mean? Does it mean that you're not going to pay for them or what? Like this is Fifth Freedom busing? Whoa, like that don't make no sense. The buses will be fast and free. I ain't waiting on no Mom Donnie bus. My rear snow wiper. I think it froze in place. I'm looking back there. Damn it. Oh, boy. Yeah, but when you live here up in New York, you got to have a car that's all-wheel drive. If you don't have a car that's all-wheel drive, you better have a second car, and one of them better be all-wheel drive. It's just that simple. Rear-wheel drive up here gets you killed. Because all of a sudden, everything's fine, but then all of a sudden, it starts snowing, or you get some heavy rain, and the next thing you know, you're in a car accident. Gotta have all-wheel drive up here. So when I get home, I gotta dig out the Cadillac, because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna probably use that tomorrow. See, the problem with this car is like, even says right now, it gets 11 miles to a freaking gallon. It's like, that's not good. So it's like just warming this thing up, you're eating up a lot of fuel. You know, electric cars have that same issue. It's just that they're a little bit more efficient about it. careful. Yeah, but hopefully, I can get this car memory flashed, get it inspected, and I'd like to hold on to this car, but if it becomes a problem, it's just easier to just get another car. It's just, and it's funny because all of those new Dodge Chargers, whether you get the electric or you get the 6-pack, all of those things are all-wheel drive. So the days of burnouts are basically over. It's like you're not doing no burnout, which you really shouldn't be doing burnouts anyway. A burnout is wasteful and it's stupid. All you're doing is you're wasting your tires. So you're better off not doing shit like that. But these dumbass kids, they're worried about doing burnouts and fucking drifting. It's like, yeah, well, you didn't really spend the money for this car. You stole it, so you don't really care. But my thing is, it's a waste. It's a tremendous amount of waste. Yeah, my tires are filled with snow right now, and snow and ice. So basically, I can feel the wheel balancing is a little bit off, but that's not a big deal. I just drive it nice and simple right through this snow. Yeah, you look at this, man. So they've basically they've salted as much as they could, and they've got as much of this snow out off the road as they could. So basically, the streets are clear. And they did the smart thing. They kept everybody off the road today. Now, they're going to want to reopen everything in the city tomorrow. But if I was them, I'd keep shit closed tomorrow. But they're not going to do that. They don't give a fuck. We're all slaves here. So they would rather get you out there in this. They don't care if you're safe or not. They don't care. But a lot of people, anybody who doesn't have to go anywhere tomorrow, they're not going to go. Because this is unbelievable. This ice and the snow, it's like it's going to have traffic backed up tomorrow. But traffic's going to be crazy. So anybody who doesn't have to go anywhere, they're not going to look at this guy. This guy's got this Jeep, and he's just stuck. I don't know what he's doing. He's just stuck. It's like, what are you doing, bro? It's a Toyota Crown. It's like, yo, let's make this car look as ridiculous as we possibly... I don't know why. They shouldn't have called it a Toyota Crown. They should have called it a Toyota Clown. It's like that thing... It's like, yeah, let's make us a car that has the ride height of an SUV. Look at this guy. This guy's up there staring at me with your little slow-ass Traverse. What are you up there staring at me for? Turkey. It's a turkey up there staring at me like he's going to do something. This guy's a turkey. Look at this turkey. Yeah, Thanksgiving is past, buddy. Nice day. It's too bad you gotta waste it being inside. These people. Okay. I don't know what they're doing. So like I said, that's the one smart thing that Tesla did. They made sure all of their cars are basically all-wheel drive. So you get an all-wheel drive this, all-wheel drive that. So, you know, it makes it so that with the exception of having to charge it, you really don't have an excuse not to buy it. They did a pretty good job with the refreshes. Look at this guy. This guy just stopped. Yeah, but I'll tell you, I got up nice and early. I was up at 5 o'clock, and I got out there to start with this snow and ice. And I'll tell you, my body, right now, first of all, I got to take a shit. As soon as I get home, I got to take a shit. But my body is like aching. It's like right now, I'm ready to get in my bed and forget the world exists. I'll probably change my bed sheets, wash my bed linen, and I'm gonna just get in my bed, boy. Not much else to do. What does it say? Road work, exit 17 to 23, right lane closed. Okay. This guy. Why are you driving like that? Cybertruck. Those Cybertrucks have a lot of trouble dealing with the snow. And it's amazing because they have those ridiculous tires on them where you think that they should have a lot of off-road ability. It's like, no, they're not really that good. This truck gets in and out of embankments easily. But I'm actually shocked at that Cybertruck. I think it has something to do with the bottom of it being flat. And it gets stuck right on ice. It's kind of strange. But fortunately, right now, it's it's starting to warm up a little, so the ice is starting to melt. Yeah, it's nice. It does look pretty here during winter. It's just dealing with this ice and snow is a pain in the ass. Looks so pretty. Probably gonna hit the store, get some drinks. I could make some tea and stuff, but yeah, I still want something something to drink in there. This guy. Well, yeah, this is nice. No traffic, nice and comfy drive.
Man in Greenland is doing absolutely nothing. Quick, scramble your troops. Build the F-15 Eagle. Launch a full-scale operation and take the land that is rightfully yours.
I'm going to try to keep this video short. I'm not going to make this very long. So in news, something you may need to be notified about because you might not know, Big Tech is finally on trial for how it's built its algorithms. A teen is suing Meta, which is Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube over algorithmic harm, and thousands more cases are waiting. Why it matters. So it says, when jurors in Los Angeles walk into a courtroom this week, they'll confront a question technology companies have long sidestepped. Can a line of code, an algorithmic feed, or a design pattern cause psychological harm? The case KGM versus Meta et al. Marks the first personal injury trial to test whether social media platforms themselves, not just the people who use them, bear responsibility for the mental health fallout of the digital age. After this story went live, TikTok announced it had settled the lawsuit. The original reporting follows below. Now, this was January 27th. It says the plaintiff, a 19-year-old Californian known by her initials KGM, claims that years of using Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Snapchat as a child led to a body dysmorphia, depression, and self-destructive thoughts. She is represented by attorney Mark Lanier, who argues that the platforms were engineered to promote compulsive engagement in children long before they understood what they were consuming. Unlike previous content moderation battles, this case centers on product engineering, the mechanisms that drive platform engagement. The plaintiffs allege that tools such as infinite scroll, so that's basically, we call that doom scrolling, where you have kids just sitting there like zombies, just scrolling like one after the next, video after the next. Autoplay video and algorithmic recommendations trigger dopamine-driven feedback loops similar to those found in gambling systems. They plan to present internal company documents that purportedly show executives recognize these effects, but chose to preserve them to maximize time on platform metrics. The defendants Meta, TikTok, and YouTube dispute that characterization, saying their products have evolved to include safety measures informed by consultations with psychologists, educators, and parents. A Google spokesperson, Jose Castaneda, said YouTube has built services and policies to provide young people with age-appropriate experiences, citing parental controls in YouTube Kids. Meta, which owns Instagram, argued in court filing that internal emails cited by the plaintiffs were cherry-picked and that the company has consistently put teen safety ahead of growth for over a decade. Now, you know that's bullshit. That's absolutely bullshit. You know that. On Meta, specifically, before I go on, the thing that pisses me off more than anything about Facebook, for one thing, I think somebody really should be suing them over privacy concerns that Facebook uses your email accounts behind the scenes and it tries to link you to people who you may or may not want to be linked to. For example, Facebook reads your phone numbers and your email accounts, and then anybody whose phone number or email account is in your phone, it tries to ask you, oh, do you want to be friends with this person? Now, there's plenty of people who I have in my phone book and who I have in my email system, and I don't want to be friends with these people. Like, I have family members. I don't want to link with these people. So here's the thing. The way I run it is on Facebook, I have two fake accounts, and then I have one real account. So let's say, I ever traveled and they're like, oh, you have to tell us what your Facebook identification is. So I would tell them my Facebook identification, that's the account that I have my friends and family on, right? And the thing about it is I barely ever use that account. But my fake account or my throwaway account is the one that I'm always using. And that one has a false picture, so it has an avatar that's not me. It has, questionable identification. So, judging from that, you would never be able to say, oh, that's who that is, because it doesn't lead back to me. And basically, when I get on there, that's really the real me. I get on there, I start talking shit, and I say whatever I want. But here's the thing. Even when I'm not trolling anybody, let's say I get onto a car website on Facebook, like one of these car pages. Let's say I say something about an electric car. Because first of all, I own an electric car, so I'm not talking out of my ass. Let's say I say, the biggest problem that I see is that the car uses too much energy when you're driving on the highway and you have the heater on. Now, I just make a statement. I don't really want to be challenged on this statement because this is just a matter of observation. Not so much an opinion, but it's based on fact. It's observation. Now, I got assholes who'll jump onto my comment. Oh, well, you must not be using the right settings. Oh, you must have the heater too high. And I'm like, why the fuck do I gotta argue with these motherfuckers? Why do I have to argue? Like, I'm making a statement that is based on fact. It's based on observation. It's not an opinion. It's based on fact and observation. Why do I got to argue with people? Why do I have, and then what ends up happening is I'll say something like nasty to them and then I'll end up in Facebook jail. And it gets so annoying that like you, even with YouTube is constantly forcing you to self-edit your comments. Like if I want to curse, I didn't say if I say the word fucking or whatever, and this is fucking stupid or whatever, if I say that, then I meant to say that. I didn't mean to edit it out. But with the AI shit that they got going on, they're always forcing you to edit your comments. Now with Facebook, if you insult one of these idiots, then the first thing they're going to do is they're going to try to delete your comment and then they're going to try to put you in Facebook jail, right? And I'm like, why the fuck do I got to argue with these people? Now, there's simple solutions to this. Somebody starts arguing with me, I block their ass. But the problem is you might have a bunch of people try to pile in on you at the same time. So now I got to block 5 or 6 people. You should see my block list. That shit is miles long of names of people. I forgot who these people are. I don't care, and I don't ever need to see these people. Basically, blocking them is like killing them, but you don't actually commit a crime. It's like, I don't want you bothering me. Just shut up. And I'm not, this conversation is not between me and you. It was between me and somebody else. So why the fuck are you in it? And it's so annoying. And that wears down on your mental health, right? So what ends up happening is you're going to end up arguing with these people. You're going to end up saying something rank or vulgar or whatever. And then they're going to block you or they're going to ban you, right? So Facebook, whenever there is a class action lawsuit, I can't wait to join it because these people need to be held into account. First of all, they should have given us a like button and they should have given us a dislike button. When you go on Facebook now, whenever these assholes are trying to annoy you, what they do is they hit the laughing emoji like they're laughing at you. It's like, why are you laughing? What the fuck is wrong with you? Are you stupid? It's like, I didn't post the comment specifically so you could like it, but I would rather there be a dislike button and a like button instead of a laughing emoji. Why are you if I didn't tell a joke, why are you laughing? Like, this shit just pisses me off. So naturally, the first person who posts that like button, it's like, yeah, we're okay. But the person who puts that laughing emoji, I block their ass as soon as they post it. Because chances are I've made 3 or 4 comments, right? So you might get that first comment, and as soon as I see that you're laughing at the first comment, you get blocked. You're not laughing at the second, the third, or the fourth. When that shit pops up, it's going to say, oh, well, we're really sorry. We can't display this page. And obviously, you'll get the message. Yeah, you got blocked before you could laugh at the second, third, and fourth comment. Yeah, you got blocked. It's like, I'm not in. See, Charlie Kirk, that moron racist, he may have been stupid enough that he's going to go out in the middle of public trying to argue with people. Yeah, well, you see that got you a bullet in your neck and a hole in your carotid artery. I'm not trying to argue with nobody. I'm really, I'm not trying. Like, that. What is that? There's that meme, and the guy sets up a table. He's like, yeah, this music is the best. Change my mind. I'm not trying to argue with you. If you want to have a debate and shit, go to one of them universities where they have a debate team, and you sit down and you have a debate. I ain't trying to argue with you. I'm just not trying. So if I post something, you better take it as if it's the word of God. And if you have a problem with it, listen, there's a couple of things that you can do. One of them is you could turn your computer off. The other one is you could try to hit that laughing button and watch me block your ass. And the third thing you could do is just don't say anything. What did they say? If you don't have something nice to say, just keep fucking moving. Just shut up. But see, we're in a situation, and this is not addressed by this lawsuit, but they've literally programmed people where every single time somebody says something, you have to have a fucking reply. It's like, I ain't trying to argue with you. I'm just not. I'm not. It's like if I say something, if I say, oh yeah, this car was, I love this car and it was a good car and I enjoyed having it. Now you're going to have somebody pop up, oh, I wouldn't buy shit from that company. That company makes nothing but garbage. I'm like, I just said that I've had this car for a long time and I enjoy driving this car and I like this car. And now you pop up out of nowhere. I don't even know who the fuck you are. Oh, this is a stupid car and the company sucks. It's like, if anything, that's what these lawsuits should be about, especially in regards to Facebook. Now, I'm going to get to my problems with YouTube, but I've already pretty much enunciated my problems. Shadow banning, subscriber manipulation, viewer manipulation. YouTube has been practicing this shit since, I guess, at least 2020. Shadow banning people. And a lot of us already seen that, so you know about that. Viewer manipulation, subscriber manipulation. There's people who I'm subscribed to. They got 800,000, 900,000, a million. They got all of these subs, but every time they post a video, they can't seem to get more than about 30,000 views per video. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's not mathematically possible. If you've got 1 million subscribers, how is it possible that your videos are getting anything less than 100,000 views? That's subscriber manipulation, viewer manipulation, or shadow banning, or a combination of the three. So when these lawsuits come against Google and YouTube for shadow banning people, because here's the problem. The way the internet is set up, Google routes most of, and they did a study about this, the AI answer systems, like when you get on most of these AI systems and they look for answers to a question, a lot of those answers go to YouTube in order to search for answers. So if they've routed this system using the algorithm, whatever you want to call it, if they've routed this system so that everything's going to YouTube, then that means that there's obviously going to be bias towards people who are on YouTube. So if there's bias towards people on YouTube, then that means that by shadow banning opinions, what they're doing is they're tilting the bias in one direction, which may or may not be accurate. So these lawsuits, let me tell you something. Every single time I see one of these lawsuits, I immediately sign up for it. I've been part of a number of class action lawsuits. I've mentioned it before. I've won several of them where I've been in the class and we've gotten paid. Now, it's only a little bit of money, but you're talking about a little bit of money, times multiple people. So it actually comes out to like billions of dollars or whatever, or millions of dollars. But I think it's long past time that these social media organizations, that they pay the price. I think they need to pay the price in the worst way. Facebook, absolutely. If I had the power, I would sue the calcium out of Zuckerberg's bones. If I could, I would sue the minerals out of his teeth if I could. And YouTube, I'm not happy with them either. I'm not happy. You may have noticed I don't make videos as much as I used to. The shadow banning, the subscriber manipulation, the viewer manipulation, they've basically made it so that they've taken the fun out of it. Now, I remember years ago when I used to hear a lot of the creators who were going around, oh, YouTube is dead, YouTube is dead. And I didn't really know what they were talking about. They were talking about like the terms of service changes. They were talking about, oh yeah, well, you have to make content that's subscriber friendly and all that. I can understand that aspect. But what I see is first of all, they need to be sued, number one, for privacy concerns. There have been a number of people who I've seen who have basically tried to block or tried to have information removed. And they've put, people posted private information about people, their families and stuff. That's part of the reason you will never see me. And I've done this before, but I'll never do it again. You will never see me, like if I'm dealing with a woman or something, a girlfriend, a woman, like Valentine's Day is coming up, right? I will never put her face on YouTube. I won't put my face on YouTube. These people now, all they got to do is get just a small amount of your image, and these motherfuckers will put that shit in the AI system, and next thing you know, they'll have you doing all types of shit. And you're like, wait a minute. I didn't do that. And you'll be like, oh, shit, no. They got deep fakes of everybody now. So if you get a picture of me, it's going to be an old picture that I've put out. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, they got an old picture of me and they did something with it. You know what? Boo-hoo. But I won't have to really worry about it because, you won't have any accurate new photos. Now, there've been these losers on YouTube with these shit channels, and they only have like maybe a couple of dozen subscribers, if they have that many. And they've gone after YouTubers who they didn't like. Like, for instance, when I had the whole Passport Bro motif, you had some of these losers with these shit channels, anti-Passport Bro channels, right? And they would steal and clip video footage that you've taken, and they'd use that in their videos. And then you'd go to YouTube and you'd be like, YouTube, they're stealing my fucking content, right? And YouTube, if you made a claim that they did a copyright infringement, because obviously they stole your content, YouTube will take it down. The problem is when those people try to fight the copyright infringement, even though they know they're in the wrong, and they write some bullshit letter to YouTube. Oh, well, I only used X, Y, and Z. So then what does YouTube do? They reinstate it, right? Now, a lot of times these people will make fake accounts, dummy accounts. They'll post shit information. They'll post private information and stuff like that. And the thing about it is, they'll try to dox people and everything. Like, they've tried to dox me, but they didn't do a very good job of it. I'll say it like that. And I thought the funniest thing was that, they would try and I make no, how should I say? I make no secret that I live in New York City and everything. And they were trying to dox me as if like they were going to send somebody to come get me. What they didn't tell these people was like, yeah, this guy carries a fucking big gun and he'll use it on you. And I was like, well, why aren't you telling them that? If you're going to tell them to come here, you should at least have the courtesy to tell these people, I will use you as target practice. You should tell them that. It's like, why would you tell them, yeah, go after this dude because he's a Passport Bro or this, that, and other, but you're not going to tell them about this fucking 50 cal Desert Eagle that I will use on you. Like, I don't understand that. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I was like, excuse me, Doxer, could you do me a favor? Tell them about this, so this way, just in case anybody comes here, when they get their fucking head blown off, this way they'll understand and be like, oh, yeah, he carries concealed and shit. Yeah, this is not a good thing. Don't, like, you shouldn't do that. Like, you really, really shouldn't do that. So, because I'll see your ass in court. You won't be there because you'll be in the ground. But all I'm just saying is YouTube allows people to put stuff like that up, and then they allow it to sit there. And it'll sit there and sit there and sit there. Maybe some people care about it. Maybe some people won't. Famous people get doxxed a lot. Famous people, they have all this secret, like they got video footage, paparazzi footage and shit. And I'm like, why are you letting this stuff sit up here when you could very easily strike it down? Or you could very easily take it down. And it just so my bottom line is this. The manipulation with the subscribers, the shadow banning, the, what else? What's the other thing? The viewer manipulation. Somebody needs to, there needs to be a lawsuit about these things. So this person, this teenager, they came up with this idea. They got this lawsuit going, right? Let me just finish it up. Okay, it says the case could hinge on whether jurors conclude that the harm stemmed from platform design rather than the content. That distinction will determine whether Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, long a cornerstone of Internet immunity, applies. Los Angeles Superior Court Judge Carolyn Kuhl ruled last year that Section 230 does not automatically shield companies from claims arising from design decisions, leaving that determination to the jury. 9 related cases are expected to go to trial in Los Angeles State Court. Beyond legal strategy, both sides will rely on scientific testimony about how interface engineering affects cognition and dopamine regulation. The plaintiffs are expected to cite research on variable rewards, a behavioral mechanism first studied in gambling psychology, which suggests that unpredictable payoffs, such as new likes or video recommendations, can drive compulsive checking behavior. Now, as far as checking for likes, I think we already have seen what that self-aggrandizement has done to females in general, looking for likes and looking for video shares and looking for video recommendations. But here's my thing. It can go in the exact opposite direction. What about the shadow banning? Like, what does that do to the average person if they're putting up content regularly, but they're getting shadow banned and they're not realistically seeing results for their work? Because at that point, what you're doing is you're actually hurting their pockets, for one. And then on top of that, you're hurting their desire to actually want to make content. So, because the way I see it is, if this was actually a fair market, which it absolutely is not, if this was fair, everybody would have the chance to be the next Mr. Beast. Everybody would have the chance to be the next Kevin Samuels. But those people came up in a time before they started this algorithm bullshit. Because now, unless you're paying them money to push your content, most of the times they're basically not giving you fair play. Like, I don't know, it's funny, they don't talk about net neutrality anymore. Most people have no idea what net neutrality even meant. I think what they should have called it was they should have called it equal access to the internet to make it easier for people to understand what the hell they were talking about. But the simple fact is they don't talk about net neutrality anymore, and I'm pretty sure most people don't even know what the end result of those lawsuits were. But net neutrality basically revolved around bigger platforms having more access to the internet than smaller platforms. So if you're going to create a platform, whether it's X or YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and all you're going to do is allow some voices to be much, much louder than other voices, then you're basically doing exactly the same thing. You're making it so that louder platforms and bigger platforms have more power than the smaller platforms do. So you're no better than the former. And it's really sad. It's disgusting. And all it does is it basically disincentivizes people from even bothering to make content. And you've probably noticed also, I've been noticing over the weekends, most of the car YouTubers, for example, right now they're talking like, who is it? Graham Stephen. They were talking about, what was his name? Tavarish. And they were talking about, Vin Wiki and Doug DeMuro. And basically all of them are kind of in agreement that car YouTube is dying, right? Now, what's interesting is that you have somebody like Marquise Brown Lee, who with one bad review is able to take down an entire company. Fisker built that Ocean. I drove that Ocean in 2024 January, and I drove that Ocean right about a little after I got my car, my Cadillac Lyriq, right? I drove it. It wasn't the best. I did like it compared to the Tesla Model Y, but there were some things about it that I was like, you know what? They need to fix this or they need to fix that. But it wasn't deal breaking. It wasn't something that would say, oh yeah, well, I would never buy this. Marquise Brownlee did one review and took that entire company down. Now, the car YouTube is dying in general simply because, first of all, there's a lack of new products. Most of the new products are electric vehicles. Electric vehicles really aren't that exciting. They're good products, but they're not that exciting. Most of these products are exciting because they're radically different than other products. Electric vehicles really aren't radically different than each other, unless there's something that they offer that just makes them radically different than something else. The new products are falling into two categories. Either they are hopelessly unaffordable or they're boring. Most of these vehicles that are coming out are boring. Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, they screwed up real bad. Stellantis has basically put them in a death spiral. Their products are boring and they suck. And their products are so boring at this point that even when they're trying to go back to the drawing board and make the products not boring, the problem is whatever they bring to the table is still seen through the eyes of, yeah, this is boring. And there's really nothing they can do. They're in a death spiral. So the best that they can hope is to make mediocre products and pass that stuff off and try to hope to stay alive. But the other problem they have is the prices are too high, which is what I'm saying. Either the prices are going to be hopelessly unaffordable or they're boring. So you got new Lamborghinis, new Ferraris. Yeah, but the average person can't afford any of that stuff. That's not enough to keep car YouTubers alive. Car YouTubers came on, they made amateur review videos, they made amateur racing videos, they made amateur street drives. And for the most part, if they had some level of charisma, people watched them, people enjoyed their shows, people enjoyed their channel. YouTube has at this point made it so difficult for regular people to break in or for regular people to make content. They've made it so difficult that most of them just give up. They don't even want to do it anymore. And that's not even including the illegal stuff. Because, see, the biggest problem was that they basically incentivized people to jump on and do illegal things like the street takeovers. But when they pulled the rug from under those people and then demonetized their channels and took away the incentive for them to do the street racing, the takeovers, once they did that, then they basically killed it all because now nobody can even talk about those things, much less do them. But they've basically killed the entire. There's no demand. There's kind of a demand, but the problem is they've made it so there's no supply, I should say. Now, some people are like, oh, yeah, you should go to Rumble. Yeah, but the problem is the Google system on the internet has routed traffic around Rumble. Like, when you use the internet, you don't get video recommendations for Rumble videos. It doesn't happen. There's a number of Manosphere people who I'm not even going to name them, and they've left YouTube or they've been demonetized or deplatformed off YouTube. They went over to Rumble. And the issue is, I know that they're not making money on Rumble because the problem is the internet is against them in that it's driving traffic around them. Now, there are some people, and it's really sad because what they're really incentivizing is people to be more extreme than they normally would be. A perfect example of that is Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes has been deplatformed, but now in being deplatformed, he had to turn so hard and he had to be so extreme that he has bypassed YouTube, he's bypassed Rumble, he's bypassed Google, and he's able to get an audience by saying the most outrageous possible things that he could say. So they've incentivized absolute extremism by what they've been doing. And I would say that Facebook has basically done the exact same thing. Facebook, Instagram, they've basically incentivized people to be as extreme as possible. And of course, unless you're making very big money, that's really a poison pill because you're going to burn all your bridges in the real world. So these women specifically who go on OnlyFans and they're showing this and they're showing that on OnlyFans, they can't go back to the regular world for a job. So what they've basically done with this internet is they've incentivized the most extreme behavior. And regardless what that is, if it's extreme speech, if it's extreme content of any type, they've basically incentivized people to have to go so far to the extreme that there's no coming back. And when those people run out of content to make, that's when they fall flat on their ass, and that's the rug pull, and it's really disgusting. This says tech experts will examine how feed ranking and personalization algorithms use machine learning to adjust engagement signals and increase viewing time. YouTube's next video and TikTok's For You feeds will serve as prominent examples of reinforcement-based content sequencing. The plaintiffs argue that these systems are tuned to maximize watch time, even when that means surfacing more harmful or self-comparison content. Mark Zuckerberg is one of the executives expected to testify. So he's wearing those stupid Meta glasses where he's recording what he's looking at. And that's going to be the next, I was talking about that before. That's going to be the next big thing when everybody's going to be wearing these glasses and they're going to be recording everything. George Orwell, this is a nightmare for George Orwell. George Orwell would be spinning in his grave if he thought that people would finance their own surveillance state. Imagine everybody's wearing these glasses. Everything you look at, every person you look at is automatically being put in a database, and everything about them from their location. Like, imagine you look at your friend and your friend told his girlfriend, yeah, I'm going to the baseball game, but he's hanging out with you at the bar. And you look at him with these glasses on, and then the glasses are like, wait a minute, this motherfucker's lying. He said that he was going to the baseball game. He's here at the bar, and then it notifies the girlfriend's like, yeah, you should come to get this dude. He's down here at the bar. This could be these glasses, this Meta glasses. This could easily be the greatest surveillance nightmare ever. Like this could be some shit like you saw that movie Eagle Eye. Like, it could be worse than that. Like this could be like those Jason Bourne movies where the government, they just say, hey, where is this person? And you just type your name, and then they automatically know exactly where you are because you're near a camera somewhere. And I'm like, yo, that right there is some scary shit. And you know what? When Apple does it, the game is over. Because nobody wants these stupid Ray-Ban $200-$300 glasses. Nobody wants that. What people are waiting for is Apple to make those eyeglasses. Apple says that when they make those eyeglasses, they're going to make it so that the lenses correct themselves. Like, the lenses got technology to autofocus on. And I'm like, yo, when that happens, the game is over. When that happens, you're going to have Apple eyeglasses, Samsung eyeglasses. The game is over. You won't be able to run. You won't be able to hide. It's like, you better grow out your facial hair and you better make sure you look like Santa Claus, because they're going to know exactly who you are wherever you are. And it's just terrifying. That AI shit is going to be watching you the whole time, wherever you are. It's going to know exactly who you are, where you are. And then I'm waiting for this shit to violate HIPAA laws. So imagine you got these glasses on, right? And you look at one of these women and you want to know, like, you got the cameras on both sides of the glasses, right? And you look at one of these women and it automatically tells you, yeah, she's got like a number of kids and she's got like a high body count and everything. So it warns you to stay away from her. Or even better, imagine this. Imagine you look at some girl's lip and her lips got little bumps on it. And you're like, hey, Meta, what is this? And Meta looks at it and it's like, the answer is herpes simplex B. And then it goes on to tell you about herpes simplex B, because that's how AI is. First it'll name it and then it'll tell you about it. And I'm saying, this is going to be the end of society. As soon as they put them glasses on us, and these glasses got cameras and we're just walking around, we're walking fucking cameras. Society is done. Or imagine like the women have some kind of app where they can look at you and know how much money you got in the bank, so they know whether or not they should bother to date you or whatever. Or imagine like you could just look at people and you could know their entire criminal record because that's all public record, right? So if you look at their face, yes, accessing file on O.J. Simpson. And it's like, oh, yes, O.J. Simpson was wrongfully accused of killing Nicole. The real murderer has not been found or something. Like, you could see their entire history. Like, could you imagine like that? Yo, once that happens, the game is over. And it's going to happen. I think Apple has already made those glasses. They're just afraid to put them out because they know the game is over. They just know it. Says defense teams plan to argue that these systems cannot be equated with drugs or cigarettes because usage outcomes vary widely across users and contexts, and because causation in digital behavior remains scientifically murky. The trial strategy borrows directly from decades-old product liability cases. Lawyers point to internal communications, some dating back to 2019, showing Meta executives debating whether to restore filters that simulated cosmetic surgery, even after employees raised concern about links to body image issues. And that's another thing. You've probably heard they were talking about there was supposed to be an AI system that automatically warns you if somebody's using a filter. Or even better, imagine if you have one of these AIs that turns off filters. So this way, when these women are trying to catfish you, the AI pulls up her pictures like, hey, wait a minute, I know who this is. And it pulls up all of her photos. You're like, wait a minute, you're up there catfishing me. You just keep showing me headshots. Meanwhile, you're a woman, you're 6'2" and you weigh like 400 pounds. And you just keep showing me head photos, and then the AI pulls up all of her other photos. And it's like, yes, Dave, she actually is 6'7" and she weighs 450 pounds. I'm sorry, Dave. I can't let you do that. If you talk to her, you're doing so at your own risk, Dave. I'm sorry, Dave, but I can't let you do that. Could you imagine when the AI gets to that point where the AI is looking out for you and it's like, yo, this chick is catfishing you. She keeps showing you her head photos. It's like, Dave, her hair is fake, Dave. I can't let you do that, Dave. Her hair is fake. And the AI is helping you. Like, could you imagine that? Like, that's going to be crazy. We're going to have AI in the glasses, and the glasses can see fake hair. They can see boob implants. They can see like fake nails, and they can see like everything fake, like fake makeup. Like, could you imagine the AI is like, oh yes, scanning face, and it scans the face, and it's like, wait a minute, this is what she looks like without the makeup, and you're like, ugh, Jesus Christ, I look like two different people. Nah, I ain't messing with her. And could you, I'm waiting for Apple to release them glasses because as soon as them glasses come out, the game's over. It's just over. What is this? The trial strategy borrows directly from decades-old product liability. Okay, so let me skip that. Legal scholars have described the proceedings as a bellwether for more than 5,000 pending lawsuits nationwide, many filed by parents, school districts, and state attorney general. Collectively, the cases seek damages and potential injunctive relief that could force platforms to disable engagement features or delete data linked to youth accounts. The closest historical parallel may be the 1998 Master Settlement Agreement with Big Tobacco, which imposed more than $200 billion in penalties and reshaped marketing across the entire industry. Now, first of all of the lawsuits against Big Tobacco has not stopped these kids from smoking, and it hasn't stopped them from vaping. Whenever I see one of these kids or an adult and I'm seeing them with vapes, all I can think to myself is, how did we allow China to put a digital crack pipe in this person's hand? But then I think about it, I'm like, well, if I have weak Congress people who are all corrupt and they allow TikTok to continue to exist, then it seems to me that allowing China to send digital crack pipes here, or allowing China to get these people hooked on fentanyl and watch their bodies pile up like raw chicken, I guess that's not too far from the norm. I mean, because obviously that's what they're doing. They're allowing this foreign influence. They're allowing, something that they know is bad for us just to like hurt us. So someday somebody's going to say, yeah, these vapes are dangerous, they're hurting us and everything, and there'll be a lawsuit for that. Aside from the lawsuits for the vapes with the batteries that explode in your pocket or burn your face and this, that, and other. But yeah, we've allowed things like this to get so far out of hand, and then somebody launches a lawsuit, and that's what it takes for the awareness to really happen. It's really disgusting. So it says executives, including Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg and YouTube chief Neil Mohan, are expected to testify over the next 6 weeks. Snap CEO Evan Spiegel settled before trial, though Snap remains a defendant in other cases. TikTok declined to comment ahead of jury selection. Legal experts say a verdict against the companies could weaken the protections that have long shielded platforms from being held directly responsible for their design choices. While the outcome will not set binding precedent for other courts, it could offer a preview of how such evidence resonates with jurors and whether California becomes a testing grounds for a new generation of tech liability law. For now, the trial forces the industry to publicly defend the very technologies that made social media indispensable, and according to its critics, difficult to escape. So that's the story right there. And me personally, I'm all for it. I think we need to sue these people for everybody who they've hurt. If people can demonstrate damages, they need to be sued and they need to be made to suffer through loss of revenue, money, profit, whatever. They need to be gotten because they have been doing this for a long time. They've hurt God knows how many people. There have been God knows how many suicides due to this shit. There have been God knows how many homicides due to this stuff. Because they have basically created a situation where they're literally putting people in harm's way. There's some people they're making antagonistic environments and they're perpetuating it. In some cases, they're putting people and their mental health at risk. They need to suffer. They need to be made to pay. And that's the bottom line. So me personally, when I see that lawsuit, now, because right now there's a lawsuit against Roblox. In the news, there's a kid, I think here in New York City, who tried to go to the Bronx to meet some dude who was talking to him on Roblox. And there's recently been a lawsuit on Roblox. And I have little cousins who can barely read, but they know how to play Roblox. And they're little young kids. And the thing about it is, Roblox is first of all, the technology is in everything because almost any computer can run it. But they've created a situation where you got predators trying to get at these little kids through Roblox. So my thing is, the lawsuit for Roblox, now I can't really join it, but I'm pretty sure my uncles or aunts who have those kids, they could join it. They deserve compensation because they have no idea how their kids may have been manipulated or influenced through Roblox. Now, I have nothing against Roblox, but Roblox needed to make it safer because they knew that they were targeting kids with Roblox, so they needed to make it safer to make it so that these kids are safe on Roblox. And I know there's some people who are advocates who say, oh, yeah, well, the kids just need to be able to play and they shouldn't have to worry about all this stuff. But the problem is you've got technology that's connecting adults with children, and it's allowing adults to talk to children. So, no, they have to do stuff to make it so that can't happen. So as far as I'm concerned, I have nothing against Roblox. In fact, I've told people to buy Roblox stock in the past. My thing is, if they've created an environment that makes pederasty easy or whatever, they need to suffer for it. That's the bottom line. Now, I know some people might disagree with that. Okay, fine. But the bottom line is that's the way I see it. And now they got AI in, like, when you play Battlefield, it's like you can't even type a curse word. You get auto-censored. I think in some cases, depending upon what you say, you could get censored or blocked or banned. I don't even bother using my headset anymore. When it was the old days of Xbox Live, I was the biggest shit talker there was. But they've killed that. It's like nobody uses their microphone anymore. In fact, if you use your microphone, you're out of the norm. Nobody uses a microphone anymore. So nobody even talks anymore. And the game is actually less fun because nobody talks. But, the problem is it goes in the exact opposite direction because now you got people who are attacking other people, making homophobic comments, making racist comments, making sexist comments. So they've created a situation where they can use AI to make the situation safer and better, but in doing so, all they're really doing is they're basically attacking free speech. The way I see it is people should be able to say whatever they want on these game systems and everything. And if the other people don't like it, all they have to do is just turn their mic off or turn the speaker off on their mic. And you shouldn't have to report people because at that point it's like fascism. Because now you got people tattletelling on each other and trying to get people in trouble and everything with the law. That's basically fascism, the way I see it. So that's what I had to say. So this is the story. But again, with the shadow banning, the view subscription manipulation, it's like, yeah, you need to pay the price for that. And when that lawsuit happens, you best believe I'm going to be right there ready to sign my name and I'm going to be waiting. All right, so today is January 27th. The Dow is at 49,000. It should have hit 50,000 already, but as you know, Trump, is busy saying stupid shit to make sure that the stock market crashes. I have no doubts that it will hit 50,000 soon. It'll probably do it as soon as, for whatever reason, Trump shuts his mouth long enough for it to do it. But the stock market is going to be fine with or without him, simply because the companies that it mostly represents, the Dow and the S&P 500, the companies that are mostly represented are multi-trillion-dollar companies. They're going to be fine. It's the K-shaped recovery all over again. The rich keep getting richer, and at this point, nothing can stop it because they have so much money that the interest on their money is making billions of dollars, so they'll be fine. The important thing is that gold has passed by $5,000. Now, if you look back just a week ago, gold was under $5,000, but as you can see, it's pretty obvious that it was making its way up. So gold jumped more than $200 within the last week. So what was the low? The low was, what was it? The 52-week low was $2,738. But if you look at the open, what is that? 51.79, and right now it's at 51.89. Gold is making a killing. Now, the important thing to understand for the people who don't pay attention to this on the regular is why is gold doing so well? Well, just like I've said, and a lot of people try to accuse me of having Trump derangement syndrome, but you have to understand, Trump derangement syndrome works both ways. Trump derangement syndrome can be either the people who are criticizing anything that Trump is doing, or it can also be the people who have their heads so far up his ass that he can do no wrong. Simply because if he does anything wrong, they can't see it because their heads are up his ass. So he has sycophants like these people on Fox News who everything he does is automatically spun and he's doing everything. Everything is fantastic, right? The simple fact is, by threatening our allies, our NATO allies, by threatening them, specifically going after Greenland and claiming he's going to take it over and there's nothing you can do about it and everything, some people on Fox News and these people who have their heads up his ass, these people think that that's a good strategy. Not only is that a horrible strategy. But on top of that, it's extremely unpresidential. And on top of that, it's dangerous to the country. No president has ever talked that recklessly before, simply because of how dangerous that is to show our allies. It is dangerous to do that. Basically, the reason why you see gold skyrocketing like this is because these foreign governments are de-dollarizing. They're getting out of the US dollar and they're headed towards gold. Now, the Trump economy, and you got to understand, Trump is a grifter. You got to understand, I live in New York City. Most of middle America and these racists out there who support him, they didn't understand who he was. But as a New Yorker, I understood who he was. Most of New York understood who he was. The dude is a grifter, number one. He's been through multiple bankruptcies, and it's so bad that he doesn't even want you talking about him, so he threatens to sue you. But there's some people who don't give a fuck, so they talk about it anyway. He's been through multiple marriages, multiple bankruptcies. He's everything bad about America for the most part. But in being everything bad about America, he's actually the quintessential American, and he's really the quintessential face to be on the presidency for America, because America itself is going down the toilet. America itself is bankrupt. America's $38 trillion in debt and has no plans whatsoever of getting out of that debt. Americans are drowning in student loan debts. Americans are drowning in credit card debt. And thanks to President George W. Bush, it was the bankruptcy laws that he changed that make it so that they can't even discharge these bankruptcies. So most of them would have chosen to go into bankruptcy, but they can't do it now, because I remember when he changed those bankruptcy laws, you had lines around the bank for people waiting to file and try to get themselves put into bankruptcy so this way they could discharge their debts. Can't do that anymore. So the thing about it is, America is drowning in debt. Americans are not marrying. Marriages are failing in America. Children are not being born, and most of the children that are being born are autistic or have some mental handicap. Now, Trump's got Barron up there, and Barron is obviously mentally handicapped. Now, he can talk good about him all he wants, but we know what we're looking at. Like, you can't lie to us. We know what we're talking about. We know what we're looking at. So, in fact, Barron was in the news recently. He says, I just watched a girl get beaten up or some shit, and I had to try to intervene and call for help or something like that. As far as I know, he peed his pants when he did it. But the bottom line is, I'd say that in all of Trump's problems and in all of his negatives, he's actually the perfect face for an America that's sinking and drowning in debt and is circling the bowl. So when you get up there and you tell our allies that we're going to do whatever we want, we're going to take your land and there's nothing you can do about it, and if you try to do anything, we're going to raise tariffs on you. When you try to make threats like that, you know what it does? It drives the market down. And I think we understand that. What it also does is it tells them, you know what? If they were willing to weaponize the US dollar against Russia and China, then they would do maybe the same thing to us. And now you've got this quote-unquote President Trump who's literally told our allies, yeah, we can weaponize the dollar against you, or we can basically do whatever we want and there's nothing you can do about it because you don't have the military power to stop us. That doesn't send a very good signal. That doesn't send a very good signal at all. A lot of these countries are going into gold. Now, the Trump administration, being the grifters they are, along with Elon Musk, they were trying to get everybody to go into cryptocurrency. Well, guess how cryptocurrency is doing now? Bitcoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all that shit is at Bitcoin's at 89,000, way down from when Trump was inaugurated. It got up to like 124. Bitcoin's way down. It has underperformed gold by far. Everybody can easily see that. And, most of the people who got into Bitcoin at 100,000 or above, well, now they're desperately waiting for Bitcoin to rise again. Now, will it rise again? Maybe it will. Maybe it will. Maybe someday it'll go to 200,000. Maybe. Because I do believe in the bigger fool theory. But in the amount of time that these young... See, and this is the problem. You've got a lot of young people who are buying into this shit, and they think they're going to get rich. They're not. They're not going to get rich. The people who got rich got in at the beginning of the Ponzi scheme, and they're the ones hitting the sell button right now, and that's what causes it to drop, because they can't sell it all at the same time, because then the whole thing would crash. But these people, it's like you're getting on an elevator and hoping that somebody pushes the button to go to the floor that you want to go to that's higher up in the building. And they're stuck. They're basically stuck. I've been saying to focus on dividend-paying stocks. I've been saying to focus on these precious metals, gold, silver, mining stocks, energy companies. I've been saying lithium. I was saying this for a long time. But guess what? Just like the story that I just talked about, YouTube's been suppressing the information. And again, I think that maybe somebody should be putting together a lawsuit for these companies, these corporations, these social media companies that have been suppressing information, because maybe somebody might say, you know what? I could have made a lot of money off of this person's information, but you suppressed it. That's what I think. I think maybe somebody needs to put together a lawsuit for that. Maybe. Who knows? It could be me. You never know. But the whole thing about it is they've been pushing Bitcoin. They've been pushing all this other garbage. All this other, these fake gurus and everything have been getting up there pushing Ponzi coins, tokens, all this nonsense. All of that stuff has fallen through the floor. I remember, I've had coworkers telling me about VeChain and all this bullshit. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And they talk about, oh, well, the VeChain is the chain and the chain gang and the Chang Wang. I was like, what, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? And they're pushing this nonsense, and then it all falls apart, and all their money just disappears. I don't even bother throwing it into their face and say, yeah, I told you so, idiot. I told you that you should have bought NVIDIA instead, or that you should have bought into my index, Mangoat, Microsoft, Apple, NVIDIA, Google, Amazon, oil, and so forth and so on. I could just say, yeah, I told you so. But, at a certain point, it's like rubbing it in their face is like, yeah, you could, but you kind of don't want to, because it doesn't seem fair. It's like beating up on retarded people. You're not supposed to do that. But as far as gold goes, because I don't want to leave you leave you wondering. Because I try to organize this to make it easy to talk about certain things at the same time. GDXJ, EPGIX, GDX, Barrick, and EPGIX especially, mutual fund that pays a 6.96% dividend. And right now it's only $24.68, but it's actually going up. In fact, it's gone up considerably from when I bought it. Now, these things pay dividends, so when you put money into them, especially mutual funds, one thing you got to understand is if you don't know a lot about the stock market, the safest thing you can do is buy mutual funds. Now, you can buy ETFs, but if you want to be safe, you get mutual funds that pay you a dividend, and, if they're well diversified and everything, you pretty much don't have to really worry about anything. But one thing I can tell you is you'll do a hell of a lot better with that than you'll do with cryptocurrency. And the sad thing about it is they've been pushing cryptocurrency on people for so long that a lot of these people, and it's funny because the people who I know who have bought who bought into cryptocurrency, I had a gardener. This guy, when one time this guy is talking to me, he's talking about the money that he's making because he comes around with his lawnmower, cutting grass and this, that, and other. He was talking to me about all the crypto he was buying and everything. And I was like, yeah, that sounds all good and everything, but first of all, you're still cutting fucking grass. You're not rich. So you're putting all this money in this, hoping that you're going to see major gains, major profits. But the problem then becomes that you can't even take profits because now you're afraid to cash out. You're afraid to take money out. Because what happens if you take the money out and then it starts to rise? Now you're going to hate yourself for taking the money out. In the very early days of Bitcoin, there were people who spent Bitcoin on pizza. There were people who spent Bitcoin on music albums. There was a couple of people, this has happened to. A number of people bought regular items using Bitcoin. And if they had not bought that stuff at that time and they had saved those Bitcoins, it would have been worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe millions of dollars. So the problem now becomes these are all these how should I say, these are all these urban legends that basically are telling you once you put your money in that you can't take it out. Because if you do try to take it out, you're going to regret it. But that's not how a Ponzi scheme works. It's like when you watch the movie Bernie Madoff. There was a movie about Bernie Madoff called The Wizard of Lies. And Robert De Niro played as Bernie Madoff. And basically, the reason why Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme fell apart is because while Bernie Madoff was promising all these huge returns and everybody was going to profit and make all these gains, even though we were facing an economic catastrophe, the simple fact is, at some point, somebody said, you know what, this doesn't smell kosher, I'm taking my money out. And as soon as one person takes their money out, other people go want to take their money out. So when one person hits the sell button, other people go to hit the sell button. But by hitting that sell button, now the Ponzi scheme falls apart because now there's not enough money in there to hold it up. Well, that's exactly what crypto is looking like. Because gold, let me tell you something. I told you a long time ago my strategy. Because when I realized that YouTube was manipulating views, manipulating subscribers, manipulating traffic, it dawned on me, it's like, what I should be doing is taking this money from YouTube and rolling it into my portfolios. So that's what I've been doing. Even the last paycheck I got from YouTube, every 21st we get paid. I put all of that into gold. That money is already up, along with all the other gold that I bought. Because I've been buying gold and I've been buying these mining funds for a while. And as long as they pay dividends, I'm in. Because if they pay dividends, then that means that they're actually showing you some return for you putting your money into them. And this is what I've tried to talk about. And that's the reason why I don't make these type of market watch videos as much anymore, because there's no point in making them if YouTube's just going to suppress the information. If, I look at older videos that I made, all of the videos that I made, for the most part, were telling people to buy oil when oil went negative. All the financial videos, those videos really did not do very well. And that just tells you that they didn't do very well because YouTube was suppressing the information. Now, meanwhile, when I'm driving around in cars and shouting at people and saying crazy shit, those videos were easily 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 views, easily. But then after about 2020, that's when, with this algorithm nonsense, they basically started either shadow banning or just manipulating traffic. There was a time when we had notifications. People were automatically notified when you put a video up. All your subscribers were automatically notified. They absolutely purposefully stopped allowing notifications because this way they could drive the traffic around your channel. They could take the traffic away from your channel. The only people, I think, that were able to beat them at their own game were the people who created email chains or people who had multiple platforms and they were listing their information in multiple places. I ain't got that kind of time, so I didn't bother doing all that. But the reality is it's very difficult to beat the algorithm unless there's a lot of people who just suddenly start searching for something at the same time. But for the most part, with or without them, I'm winning anyway. Now, I still use YouTube as a 1099 because the money that I make, I have to obviously file taxes from it, but a 1099 form from AdSense, that allows you to unlock a lot of, how should I say, business tax deductions. So I got my 1099. Google already had them posted, and I've already put that with the rest of my tax portfolio for this year's taxes. The next major trip that I'm taking is to Bora Bora, and that's like $10,000 worth of trip right there because that's a very expensive place to go. I think Bora Bora may be the last huge expense vacation that I ever take. After that, YouTube can do whatever it wants with itself because at that point it won't really matter. Like, I make money from my royalties, but I'm not the type of person who likes to really do lives and stuff. Like, there's some people who do lives and they're looking for super chats. They're desperate for super chats. I'm not that desperate. It's like I make enough money where I don't really need to do any of this. I don't have to talk about my portfolio. I just do it because I like doing it. You know, a lot of people talk about how they never had financial literacy. I made videos about credit cards and how to properly handle credit cards. I made videos about student loans and how to use loan calculators. YouTube made it so that all of those videos made virtually no major views. Like, I think the most views they ever got were like 4,000 or 5,000. Now, I didn't need to tell people this stuff. I just wanted to tell people this stuff. There was a video that I watched, and I was in credit card debt at one point, and I didn't know how to handle it. And there was a video I watched, and there was this old guy, I think his name was Sal Rubino, and it was called The Sage and the Spirit. That video, it's hard to find that video on YouTube anymore. That account may have been terminated because it was an older account. I downloaded that video just to keep it because that video put into me the desire to say, you know what, I'm going to change the way I deal with credit card debt. I'm going to change the way I deal with student loan debt, any type of debt. And that video made me very adamant about paying my bills on time, paying my bills early. And I thought to myself, you know, a lot of people say, you know, I never had financial literacy. Nobody taught me any of this, right? So just when you think that you can go online and that you can just get on any of these platforms and you can start sharing that type of information, you run into this corporate greed bullshit with these algorithms and nonsense that's there to put a stop to what you're saying. So even this video may, if I'm lucky, 1,000 people see this video. Now, I have over 90,000 subscribers, yet only 1,000 people might see this video, maybe 2,000. But the bottom line is, if you're putting out good information, why is it being suppressed? And that's the real question. Furthermore, if we had a decent free market, or if we had equal access, people would judge for themselves whether or not the information is good, and they would decide whether or not they want to listen to the information. If they don't want to listen to it, they could just say, you know what, I'm not listening to this. I'm just, I'm going to unsubscribe this, that, and the other. Instead, what you have is you have manipulation on various levels. I call that fraud. I call it grift. Regardless what the consequences are. I call it fraud and grift, and I call it just what it is. Again, I make enough money on a regular basis where this doesn't mean what it used to mean. Not only that, thanks to my portfolios, the synergistic effect of investing in all of these different, mutual funds and dividend-paying stocks and everything, I don't have to really worry. And as I get closer and closer to, what is it called, retirement, where you get your pension, you get Social Security and this, that, and other, I'm not really worried about these little platforms because YouTube is they've basically made it so that unless you're a huge YouTuber, you're not really making much money anymore. The money used to be big, especially around COVID, before they put all these algorithms and AI, the censorship and all this stuff. The money used to be huge. The money is not that huge anymore, to the point where even people like Doug DeMuro, with multiple millions of subscribers, even people like that is to say, yeah, this is getting. I'm not, they're not seeing the numbers anymore, and it's like these people got millions of subscribers and they're losing, and they're like, yeah, it's not worth it anymore. So my only thing is, as time goes on, things are probably not going to change for the better because I can already see that they're not getting better. But what I am saying is that ultimately, you hope things do improve, but to me, it doesn't look like they are. But I'm just saying, as far as where you're putting your money, you should be focused on maximizing the returns on your money. And I can honestly say that you're not doing that with cryptocurrency. And I think by now the writing's on the wall. You're not doing it with cryptocurrency. I've recommended banks, credit cards, energy companies. Those have been my biggest recommendations aside from the tech companies. The gold paying dividend ETFs and miner stocks. It's like you're watching gold at $5,000. Gold is at its historic highs. I think it's going to keep on going, especially as these companies get sick and tired of Trump and his bullshit, and they get tired of America. I think you're going to watch it go even higher. So the question is, will you get in on the ground floor, or will you be later lamenting the fact that you allowed yourself to get grifted and suckered into Dogecoin and GameStop Reddit short squeezes? My thing is, will you lament the fact that you allowed them to play you for a fool, despite the fact that the information that was counter to what the mainstream was putting out has been suppressed, shadow banned, and manipulated? So my thing is, are you going to get to that point where you're like, you know what, I really wish I had done things differently? And the whole point of even making videos like this is to say, you know what, you should really change your strategy, or you should alter your strategy, because as you can see, the strategy ain't working. The math ain't mathing. That's what they say. The math ain't mathing. So as far as gold, B, GDX, GDXJ, EPGIX, those are possible funds that you could get into. And thanks to the fact that gold is surpassing $5,000, they're all doing very well. I've recommended credit cards again. American Express, Discover has now become Capital One Financial, and then there's Visa and MasterCard. So, credit cards are definitely worth buying. Capital One, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Citibank, the big banks are absolutely worth. The oil companies, Valero, Chevron, Exxon, Sunoco, Occidental, Shell, and BP. You should be putting your money into those. They're low now, but one thing you got to understand, these AI data centers are energy hungry. They are going to require energy, whether it's nuclear or gas or oil or whatever. They're going to require more and more and more energy, and that's the bottom line. So the energy has to come from somewhere. It just has to. So the bottom line is, we're entering tax season. You're going to have money coming back. A lot of you are going to need that money to pay off debts. Some of you are going to want to take some of that tax return. You're going to want to invest it. That's the reason why we make these videos. We make these videos to give you ideas about where you should invest your money. And the whole point of investing your money is that you're putting it in a place where it's kind of like a glorified savings account, and it's earning you more money as that money sits where it is. If you ever need that money, suddenly you can sell the stock and you can take that money. But for the most part, we hope you don't need that money. We hope that you could just put that money, because I'm not getting paid for what you're doing. If you take your money, put it in the bank, I don't get none of it. If you take your money, put it in the stock market, I don't really get any of it. The whole point is to be able to say that, yeah, I put out information, people took my information, people made money off of my information. I've gotten thanked by many people for the stock information I put out. And I've gotten more thanks than, people upset. Oh, yeah, well, you told me to buy this stock and it was fucked up. I would say the airline stocks during COVID, where I was suggesting people buy into airlines, I would say that while I wouldn't say that it was a bad idea, it's just that one thing I realized is over time, airlines weren't going to be profitable unless you just put your money into Delta, or you put your money into the airlines only that paid a dividend like Delta. Because those airlines are obviously, they're ahead of the curve. But the airlines like JetBlue, yeah, you're not going to make that much money off of those, so it's not profitable. But it does feel good to own airline stock, and every now and then, when we get to travel season, it does go up high enough where you can double your money and you can, sell. But I really think the dividend-paying stocks that I've pointed out were probably the best bet. And there's a lot of people who be like, yeah, thanks for your information because I didn't know about this and I really appreciate it. That's what keeps me going, because YouTube has cut our numbers. They've cut the subscribe. They're manipulating subscribers, because I already know I should have been past 100,000 a long time ago. They're manipulating subscribers. But listen, YouTube has cost Google a lot of money since 2020. They could have made a lot more money, but they've actually cost Google a lot of money. This is their fault. So my thing is, when I heard about how much money they'd actually cost Google with their manipulation, I'm like, yeah, well, hopefully you'll do things differently. But apparently they haven't decided to do things differently. So if this is the way they want to run it, if that's what they do, I can only pray that someday there'll be a competitor that will have as much power as Google has. I don't know how long it'll take. X is a competitor, but I don't like X either, because X is, they don't really pay content creators unless you're OnlyFans, and then you're making your content, it's all porn. It's like, I wish there was a regular competitor that was as big as YouTube or bigger. But right now we don't have it. Maybe someday we will. Maybe it's TikTok. I hate the fact that I have to say it. Maybe that's what it'll be. Because even YouTube and Facebook had to change their entire strategy because of what they saw TikTok doing with these doom scrolling loops. They had to change the way they were doing business because they saw themselves losing revenue to TikTok. But only time will tell what happens. And, if I was going stronger on TikTok, who knows? Maybe I'd have an even bigger subscriber base. I just don't feel like doing that, especially if TikTok's not paying on a monthly basis. Because, again, the money that I'm getting, I'm taking and putting it into the stock market. That's what I'm doing. So we'll see what happens. I'm still counting down. I've got the Vietnam, Cambodia trip coming up. And then after that, I got Bora Bora coming up. So I'm still just counting down the days and just, waiting. I'm going to be on that beach. I'm going to, got these young Vietnamese chicks fanning me down with the coconut oil, rubbing me down, giving me the buko juice. That's how I'm doing it. So when you see me at 30,000 feet sipping champagne in business class, don't ask me how I got there, because I'm just going to tell you, all you had to do is watch these videos without...
What advice you have for whoever your successor might be?
Honestly, I'd say a couple of things. One is stay out of elected politics. Don't get pulled into elected politics. Don't do it. And that's another thing. Another is that, our window into democratic accountability is Congress. And it's not a passive burden for us to go to Congress and talk to people. It's an affirmative, regular obligation. If you want democratic legitimacy, you earn it by your interactions with our elected overseers. And so it's something you need to work hard at, and I have worked hard at.
Today is January 28th. I'm just going to make a very, very quick update to close this video out because I let the rest of the clip sit on my phone for a little while, and I figured I might as well just close it out. The Federal Reserve came out today, and they decided to pause interest rates instead of raising them. So basically, the story for January 28th, Wednesday, the Federal Reserve kept interest rates unchanged at the conclusion of its first policy decision of 2026 on Wednesday. At a time when many U.S. households are concerned about affordability challenges, the central bank's decision has far-reaching implications for almost all types of borrowing and savings rates. From mortgage rates and credit cards to auto loans and savings accounts, here's how the Fed moves influence your wallet. Now, bottom line is this. If the Fed paused interest rates instead of lowering interest rates, basically what it means is that whatever interest rate you're paying, you're just going to keep on paying it. Ultimately, long story short, America is deep in debt. We're approaching $39 trillion in debt, right? So the Federal Reserve cannot raise interest rates because if they raised interest rates, the national debt would become unserviceable. They wouldn't be able to pay the national debt's interest itself. The government would end up defaulting, bottom line. They can't raise interest rates. They also cannot lower interest rates because if they lower interest rates, it has the same effect as printing money. It's inflationary, and it ultimately causes expansion of the money supply, and it's inflationary. So lately in the news, and I'm pretty sure Peter Schiff will probably be doing a breakdown of this last FOMC meeting. Bottom line is this. He's actually proven himself to be very right. First of all, he was right about most of these cryptocurrencies being garbage. He was also right about gold. All of the countries out there do not trust American dollar no more. They're all rushing towards gold. Gold is at all-time highs right now. My portfolio, I looked at it a couple hours ago. I was very, very happy by what I saw. My portfolio is at all-time high. And you got to understand, this is not because of Trump. This is in spite of Trump. What he's basically done is he's let all of our allies and enemies know that none of them can trust us. And now they're going towards gold rather, because you got to remember, the Trump administration, they weren't pushing gold, they were pushing crypto. They were trying to get everybody into crypto so that they could launder money. And that's the bottom line. They're trying to launder money, Trump coin, Melania coin, all of these goddamn crypto scams. And I thought to myself years ago, I was like, wait a minute, there's no way the government is going to okay this shit because these people are just using it to launder money. Sure enough, you have the king of all criminals of all time who decides that, yeah, you know what, not only am I going to make TikTok, I'm going to unban TikTok, but on top of that, I'm going to keep these Bitcoin scams going, most likely so he can raise money for his criminal enterprise. But the reality is, our allies are not buying it anymore. They're like, wait a minute, we got to get rid of this U.S. dollar. America is trying to control us to the U.S. dollar. We got to get rid of this shit. We're going to go buy gold. We're going to buy silver. Silver's at all-time highs. And we're going to buy these other precious metals. They're not normally supposed to be doing this. They're supposed to just be like okay with the status quo. So all of those people that I had to argue with, oh yeah, well, you know, the dollar is going to collapse and then everybody's going to rush into crypto. Listen, that shit is not going to happen. I'll just say this real quick. I've got a friend and his father is one of these, how should I say, a boomer, I guess. And he's fallen for this bullshit about, these people, to listen to these people, just like, you know how you hear these pyramid schemes and you hear these multi-level marketing scams. And he tried to invite me, because he knows that I know a lot about money and finance and everything. He tried to invite me to listen to this shit. Now, right away, my eyes are rolling into the back of my head. It's like, listen, I already know that these people are scam artists, and I already basically understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to get me to invest in their scam. Mind you, this isn't the first scam that he's gotten himself into. And the thing about it is, it's like, I don't mind listening to the scam because when I listen to the scam, it allows me to hear the scam and I'm able to repeat the scam so that this way, if I had to explain the scam, I'd be able to explain it to somebody reliably and be like, yeah, listen, this is what they're going to tell you. Watch out for this shit, right? So anyway, these people are literally telling each other behind the scenes about how crypto is the new thing and the dollar's collapsing and everything. The dollar very well may be collapsing, but believe me, crypto is not the fucking thing. It's just not. Crypto is, at this point, it's a token. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get you to take your cash money and they want you to put your cash money into tokens because it makes it easier to steal. And on top of that, the U.S. government doesn't have to obey constitutional laws regarding the U.S. dollar if the U.S. dollar is changed into a freaking token. The real money at the end of the day will probably end up being gold. Now, you don't have to believe that, but China certainly does. China's got this new Shanghai gold reserve, and they're building up their gold bullion holdings. But you don't necessarily have to hold physical gold bars and shit. You can just as easily have your money invested in tokenized gold or ETF gold. But my thing is, as long as you're in an ETF or mutual fund that trades in gold or deals with gold mining, as long as you're in one of these dividend-paying stocks or mutual fund, you really don't have to worry so much. Because, see, the problem with gold in and of itself, it does not pay a dividend. When you buy gold, it may increase itself in value, which it has. It's gone up from, what was it, like $2,000 like 3 years ago to now it's like, what, $5,000? It's basically headed towards $6,000. My portfolio, and this is what I've tried, I've put it in my community chat numerous times. My portfolio is doing real well. What I was doing was I was investing dividend repayments into gold mutual funds. I've given you the codes for them. And the thing about it is, as America's losing its standing and its trust in the world, gold is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Meanwhile, if you take a look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin is still basically just sitting still. It's sitting still. It's not moving. It goes up a little bit, but then it collapses again. Somebody hits the sell button. Gold is making huge moves. Silver is making huge moves. I remember, years ago during the pandemic, every now and then people would be talking about silver and uranium and platinum. Because keep in mind, Google and Amazon, they're going to build nuclear reactors. You can't use a nuclear reactor unless you got uranium, because that's what basically you need to make it work. So uranium was always worth investing in. But my thing is, listen, if you're going to invest in uranium mining, just make sure it pays a dividend. And when you put your money in there, it can just sit there and you just wait. Platinum, silver, gold, uranium, it doesn't really matter. But the point is, all of these countries are trying to find a safe haven for their money. At the end of the day, this is no different than what Bernie Madoff, all of the people who were going to Bernie Madoff, what they were trying to do, these were rich people, but they're trying to park their money someplace where it's earning them a dividend. And obviously the bank wasn't earning them enough interest because the banks barely pay interest. So what they were trying to do is they putting all their money with Bernie because he claimed that he's going to get you 10% returns and higher than that, right? So these rich people, even the super filthy billionaire rich, these people still want to see their money turn into profit. They want their money working for them. And if their money is sitting in a bank, it's really not working that well for them because the interest rates are so low. Or at least it's not high enough for them to justify putting their money in the bank. They want to have their money invested in a place where it's going to make some serious capital gains or it's going to gain them some serious dividends. The reality is, that's what you have to do. You basically have to do exactly what these rich people are doing, even though you don't have as much money as them. You just want to put your money in a place where it's going to make you more money. I don't think that's complicated to understand. I don't think that's controversial to understand, because most people, if you ask them, you say, hey, would you like your money to make you money? Chances are they're not going to say no. At least I don't think they would. But this shit that's going down right now, Trump is trying to put his sycophants, people with their heads up his ass, on the Federal Reserve. That's what he's trying to do. It's like 12 board members, and each one of them have like a say. I don't think that even if he puts 2 or 3 on there, that's going to change the Federal Reserve that much. He could very well put people in there, and the Federal Reserve still say, listen, we can't lower these interest rates, bro. The problem is it's not political. During Obama's term, the national debt was lower, even though we were coming out of, the 2008 financial crisis. During Obama's term, the debt was just lower. During Trump's terms, the debt is much higher. It's like $20 trillion more. We're about to hit $40 trillion. So, long story short, the Federal Reserve during that time of the economic collapse, it was easier for them to say, yeah, we're going to lower the interest rates and we're going to keep the interest rates low in order to spur economic growth and get people spending money. You can't do that now because we're damn near $40 trillion worth of debt. If they lower the interest rates, what it means, what's funny? Today, in my mail, I opened my mailbox. I got 2 credit card applications. I got one from Citibank, and I got one from some other Visa card or some shit. And I took both of those things, and I just set them aside because when I next use my, my fire pit, I'm going to burn them. All these credit card applications I get, I burn them. The only time I use a credit card application is when it comes in and it says, listen, we'll give you 0% interest for like 21 months or 22 months or something like that. That's when I'll use it. And that's when I'm going to finance the very next time I get one of those things in about a year. That's what I'm going to use to finance my trip to Bora Bora. So I'm going to be in sunny Bora Bora on that little volcanic island. I'm going to have some young thing rubbing me with coconut oil and feeding me buko juice and giving me I don't know what they eat in Bora Bora, but she'll be feeding it to me. Meanwhile, y'all are going to be stuck here working like slaves for the American government, wondering why you're not in Bora Bora, and you're going to be watching my videos like, oh yeah, you know what, Big Truck's in Bora Bora, I got to watch this video. And you're going to be wondering, how the hell did he get there, and I'm stuck here being a slave and shit for these American capitalists. And I'm going to be just explaining to you. I'll be like, listen, because I told you to put your money into dividend-paying stocks, but you were busy putting that shit into fucking GameStop short squeezes, and you were busy putting it into Bitcoin. It's just that simple. So, long story short, they can't raise interest rates. They can't lower interest rates, so they're stuck. Trump wants them to lower interest rates because he thinks that just by getting people to spend more money that it'll make the economy look better for him. And considering how they just got caught lying about Pretti's death because they tried to, he's a terrorist and this, that, and other. And then you watch the video and like, wait a minute. He didn't point his gun at nobody. He didn't even take his gun out. He didn't even have his gun, blah, blah, blah. And you realize, wait a minute, these people are fucking liars. That's what they are. And even with, Renee Nicole Goods, with her death, yeah, it was somebody could make the argument, okay, she was driving a car, so it's a weapon. But then you also have to say, wait a minute, why the fuck is this guy standing in front of the car when she's trying to drive off? So the bottom line is, their administration has gotten caught in so many freaking lies. At this point, nobody trusts them no more. That's the reason why they started to pull these people out of Minnesota. They're reassigning commanders and everything. They're reassigning these people because it's like, wait a minute, we got caught lying And now nobody trusts us no more. So the simple reality is we already know what Trump's game is. He wants to put these people in the Federal Reserve. He wants to get rid of Lisa Cook. He wants to get rid of Jerome Powell. He wants to put his sycophants with their heads all the way up his ass and smelling his farts and doing whatever he says to do. We know the game. We already know what it is. Anybody who's paying any attention, you already understand what he's trying to do. Here's the problem, though. The Federal Reserve is at a point where they just can't do it. If they lower interest rates, we're going to have a reverse mortgage crisis where you're going to see the home values go even higher than they are right now. So it doesn't even matter if you lower the interest rates. All that will do is people who are currently in a home will refinance their interest rates lower, but they'll still be stuck in the same house that they're in because there's nowhere they can go. If the other surrounding home values are much higher, there's nowhere that they can sell that they can go to. That's the problem that we're in. That's ultimately the reason why the Federal Reserve is stuck. There's nothing they can do. I would recommend let the government stay out of it. Stop fucking with these people. Leave them alone. Let the government get out of it and let the rates drift to normal, allowing the free market to work. But they're never going to allow that shit to happen. So because I already know they're not going to allow that shit to happen, and they're pausing rates are still relatively high. They're higher than 3%. Once you go past 3%, now all of a sudden a Honda Accord becomes $1,000 a month. A Toyota Camry becomes $1,000 a month. A mortgage becomes unpayable. Rent becomes more because, now the cost of living is so much higher on everything else that the person has to pay for. And then the landlords have to raise the rent. It's like, no, you're stuck. You're stuck. And if you lower the interest rates, you're just going to make it worse. So the Federal Reserve says, listen, we don't give a shit what that orange moron in the White House is saying. What we're going to do is we're going to pause this shit right here. We're going to ignore his ass. And until Jerome Powell's gone, you just got to deal with it. And he's trying to get rid of Lisa Cook until she decides to leave or the courts rule or whatever. You're just going to have to deal with it. Because I know you MAGA morons have your heads up his ass and everything that he says is brilliant and you smell his farts and his farts smell delicious. I understand that. But guess what? You're not getting your way because the Federal Reserve has independence. And that's just it. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. But I don't see the Federal Reserve lowering these rates anytime soon. See, what y'all want is to go back to 0% interest. It's not going to fucking happen. We already saw what happened with 0% interest. We saw these interest rates go real low. People started spending like crazy. And then all of a sudden now they're repossessing shit. And the housing market is locked. It's just locked. It's not moving any direction. It's locked. And y'all want more of it because you think it makes your Lord and Savior, Donald Trump, you think it makes him look good. Well, guess what? You're not going to get it. The Federal Reserve, when you mess with the Federal Reserve, you end up like John F. Kennedy. I'll just say it just like that. They're not going to budge. You can make all the threats you want. They're not going to budge. And they're going to keep it the way it is because the bottom line is we're too deep in debt. Things aren't going to move. It's just that simple. So if you understand it, you understand it. If you don't understand it, then I suggest you go back to Economics 101 and learn it because that's just where we are. So bottom line is I don't even know how many people this message is going to get to because my messages there's so much truth in them that YouTube has felt that they have to silence and delete and keep it as quiet as possible. They don't want these messages getting out. But these messages, the problem with the truth is every now and then the truth gets out and then, people have to react to it and everything. But YouTube would rather you be paying attention to, Piers Morgan and fucking what's going on with Andrew Tate. They would rather you listen to that shit than hear what an independent observer has to say, which is fine. Hey, listen, if that's what they want to do, that's fine. Right up until the day they end up going bankrupt someday in the future. But long story short, that's where you are. So you just gonna have to deal with it.